This tutorial's going to show you how to insert exploded views into drawings. So often when you're showing an assembly in a drawing, you may want to show it in an exploded state, either to illustrate how it fits together, the sort of hierarchy of the parts, or to show parts that would be hidden inside other parts if you were to show it fully assembled. So you need to set your working directory as drawing views exploded, and then we're going to create a new drawing when we begin this tutorial. So I've already set my working directory to the correct location, so I'm just going to click on new, and it's a drawing that we're going to create. We can give it a name. Let's call it explode view. There, and you want to select default template and then OK. Now we need to give it a model. In this case it will be an assembly rather than a part model. So if we click on browse, it should take us to our working directory, and there's only one assembly in there, so we'll select that. It's this valve assembly, and then click on open. So we've assigned the default model. In this tutorial we're actually going to use a template as well as just using a sheet format. A template has views already defined within the sheet, so you don't have to insert general views yourself. They've already been set, and it will just insert them from this default model file. So we've got use template selected, and we're going to browse for a template. Again, it drops us into our working directory when it's looking for a template. You can see that one has been included in here, and hopefully you can see on the preview that it's got 3 views. It's got 2 projected views, hopefully you can see that, and then a parent view already defined in there. So whatever part model or whatever default model you've selected there, it will insert those 3 views of it automatically. So once we've got that drawing template selected, we can hit OK, and you can see it's done exactly that. It's taken our part model, it's given us this what you might refer to as the front view, and then it's given us 2 projections as well. So again, because we're using this standard sheet format, it's asking us to input our name. I'm just going to put some initials in there and hit enter, and then it creates the sheet for us. So you can see my initials have been entered in that drawn by box down here. So it's given us a try view of the assembly, but what we want to do is we want to insert another view, a sort of 3D isometric view up here. So if we right click in some space, insert general view, we don't want to select any combined states, so we'll just click there, and we've dropped a view. So now that we know what we're doing in terms of dropping a 3D view in there, we're going to create a new sheet. So there's a few ways of doing that. You can select new sheet up here. I prefer to right click on the current tab and go to new sheet. Again, it's asking us for our name. If we want to enter that later, we can. You can just hit enter, and it just leaves that box blank, that drawn by box. So we're going to insert another general view here, another 3D view. So we're going to right click in some space, insert general view. We're just going to click on OK there, drop the view. You can see that it's dropped that default orientation. For this particular one, we don't want the default orientation. We want this 3D view that's been saved in the assembly. So I select that, hit apply. It looks a bit messy in the window there, and that's because it doesn't auto rebuild. You can see as I zoomed in there, it made it redraw the window. And then what we're going to do is just close that down. Now what we'd like to do is show this in an exploded state, and in this particular tutorial this assembly file actually has an exploded state saved with it, but I'm now going to show you how you would create an exploded view of an assembly if you didn't have one already in the assembly. So for this we're going to temporarily come out of this drawing creation and drop into the assembly itself, so you can see the assemblies there. So I'm just going to open that. So now we're viewing the assembly. Just before we begin, we'll have a look at the exploded view that's already been created in this assembly, and then I think we'll delete that and I'll show you how to recreate it, or how to create your own exploded views. So we need to go into the view manager that is here, and then you can see hopefully in here there's an explode tab, so that would make sense. And currently we have two explodes in there. We have a default that you get with all assemblies, where the system tries to have a good go at creating an exploded view for you. It often gets it wrong, so it's very rare that you use that one. But there's also this exploded 0001 that's been created. Now we're not currently viewing that. If you want to see what it looks like, we can. You just double click on it to activate it, and you can see that is the one that's been provided with this assembly for us for this tutorial. So if we also just quickly double click on that 3D view, so that's the angle that we're going to view this part from when we place an exploded view in our drawing. So it would be wise to select that 3D first, so you can select it from within here, within the Orient tab, because it's related to how the camera is orientated relative to the part, or you can access it from this drop down list here, where all our standard views are in there and any user created views are in there as well. So if you select 3D, it spins the camera around so it's looking from that predefined angle at the part. So don't rotate the part, keep that view locked essentially. You can pan the part around and zoom in and out, but you don't want to rotate the camera off that angle. So I'll just select it one more time. So there we go. That's the angle that we're going to look at it from. So if we now select our explode tab, let's delete this existing explode as if we hadn't created one at all, and let's create a new one. So we'll click on new. It's saying, do you want to save the modified default? No, we're not interested in the default one. Do we want to give it a name? Maybe we'll give it our own name, EX1, let's say, just to differentiate it from the one that was already there. So it's active currently. None of the components have been moved yet, so let's go in there and start moving them around. So if I right click on it and then go down to edit position, and then what I can do here, again, don't rotate your view, just pick components. So here we go. I've picked this arm on the top, and I just get this movement triad, and I can drag it relative to the arms of the movement triad there. As I say, I can zoom back in if I need to. Let's select one of these bolts. Hold down Control. You can select multiple items if you hold down Control. I'm going to select all these parts here, including the shaft, and then I can move them in one go up and out of the part. So I'm going to move them maybe to about there, and then just click off to one side, and then I think I'll just select this top piece there. Again, I'm holding down Control, zoom out slightly, move all those pieces away from the top of there, and then I'll just select the bolts. So 1 bolt, 2 bolts, 3 bolts, holding down Control again, and then I'll move those off into the gap a little bit further up. So I think on that original explode, these lower bolts have been selected. so it's that one there, and the plate. I'd like to pull them out in this red direction here, so pull those out to the front, and then again I'd like to separate these two bolts, so I hold down Control as I've selected one, select the other, and then drag these out towards the front. So let's say I'm happy with the positions of those. Maybe I'd want to bunch that arm up a little bit closer to all the rest of them. Let's say I'm happy with that. Maybe I want to put some explode lines in. Let's have a look at what we can do. So if I have the axes visible, just make sure you've got the axes visible, and then I can put some references in for some of these explode lines. Just make sure that those axes are actually visible. So there's an axis in the center there. Pick that. And then maybe pick that cylindrical face as the second reference. And let's OK the positions of all these. Then what I should be able to do is, if I right click on the view that I've just created and click Save, and it's saving it as EX1, yes, I'm happy with that. Now that we've done all that, what we should be able to do is, if we shut that down, we should be able to come back into our drawing, select the view that we've already dropped in there, right click, go down to properties, and then we should be able to set it as an exploded view. So if we go into view states, explode components in view, EX1, and then apply, you can see that it's now showing our exploded view with our explode line that we put in there in the window. So that's how to create exploded views within the assembly and then bring them through into a drawing and show them on the sheet.